Now back to the show. This is The Law Show on CL 650.
Well, let's give them something to talk about. We're talking family law here. Our guests from West Side Family Law are Mark Perry and Jill Chapin. And, well, you know, that's our headline song, by the way. We're going to, when we have you on the program, henceforth, we're going to play that, give them something to talk about thing, and talk about stories in the headlines. And I guess one of the biggest stories in the headlines lately is, and these are celebrity stories, right? So, and very easy for people to get wrong, but they're also impossible to avoid. You get the country stars, Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert. They're getting divorced. He divorced. He was cheating with her, and then he had to go and get divorced so they could get married. And now, I don't know who cheated first, but there's a lot of cheating going on, and it's very high profile stuff. Is this typical? I mean, they're celebrities. They're impossible to miss, but the pattern of behavior, overlapping sort of relationships, got the next one already lined up before we divorce the last one, kind of a little insurance policy going on. That's kind of stacking them in a strange way. Jill, what do you make of all of that?
No,
now, who's going to have the claim in a case like that? Because they're rich people, they're going to hire a platoon of lawyers, and they're going to go after each other with weapons.
I've actually heard, as an endorsement for getting a good pre-nuptial, or we call them marriage agreement, that they had their property division settled when they filed for divorce.
That's right. I heard that too. That there was a prenup. And Mark, you're big on prenups, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. But I'm going to respond to the other part of your question.
Sure.
You know, the stacking up.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it seems an odd
I'm seeing
pattern of
747s circling around, stacked up there. I think that's good entertainment news, selling soap for magazines.
Of course.
I don't think that's the reality. It's not the reality I've seen in 30 years.
No.
You know, rarely are people sitting across from me talking about the ending of this relationship and they've already got another relationship started.
Right.
They may have had an adulterous affair that's caused the end of this relationship, but they're not moving on to another relationship. And you know, frankly, as a lawyer, I usually, if they ask me, I say, well, I don't, do whatever you want to do.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. But I point out to them, you're probably making my job harder to come to a rational, reasonable resolution with your other spouse and his or her lawyer.
Right.
If you're already moved on. Because emotion plays a big part.
Well, but gone are the days, Joe, when this whole infidelity thing was grounds for divorce. I mean,
still is.
It is still technically.
Oh, still, really?
Nobody usually uses it anymore because it's kind of a pain to put that through.
You got to prove it.
Yeah.
I suppose
you got to
so.
prove it.
Wanted to talk to you about self-representation because we've been talking about mediation and alternatives to going to court to resolve family disputes and organize somewhat an adult approach to breaking up or dissolving a relationship. And in some cases, Jill, people get kind of carried away and want to try and do it all themselves. And this is a particularly complex area of law. For example, my support calculator that you suggest is a great place for anyone to go and learn about the mechanics of how things work, but that you can't use that in your own personal circumstance and expect it to work in court or to stand up in court. It's not going to happen. So self-representation in a divorce or breakup scenario, perhaps not an advisable route to choose.
I mean, obviously, you're asking two people who
there's a bias in the room. I suspect that. Yeah.
I understand that this is a place where, unfortunately, right now, a lot of people have access to justice problems, and they're doing the best they can. And in some parts of the system, they're doing the best they can. Obviously, there are probably things. I've never had somebody walk into my office and be able to completely articulate everything they should do with their case, even if they've already been in court, even if they've already researched things and gotten some advice.
Right.
I don't do my own dental work.
Well, and that's a great point. And so when someone This generally doesn't happen by surprise. Generally, when a relationship is over, both parties have a sense, at least, that this thing is done. And sometimes it's a lot more than a sense. Sometimes it's etched in stone already. So when it comes time, Jill, to sit down with that family lawyer and get an idea of where you stand, what's going to happen to me here? Holy cow! I just found out I'm about to get divorced. When you see that person for the first time, what is most helpful for you and Mark and your colleagues for that person to bring to that first meeting to give you a chance to be a helpful lawyer?
Definitely, if people can come to a meeting and they have any court documents, whether that is something they've been served with, something they have gone ahead and filed themselves, anything like that's going to be useful. As well, if people can think about gathering up financial information, that helps organize the picture a lot more quickly. What do they know? What do they not know about both their circumstance, their spouse's circumstance?
So income tax returns.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great place to start.
Absolutely useful information.
What else would you say?
I like for people to provide a bit of a chronology.
Yeah,
sure.
That's
So
tremendously helpful.
when did they meet?
Right.
When did they marry, if they married? Births of children,
Right.
names of children. When did they separate? When did they buy the house? How did they buy the house? Did somebody's family, throw in $100,000 as a down payment? That's kind of useful.
Okay.
Now, I asked a new client last week, who's the brother of a lawyer friend of mine, to provide me a chronology, and he provided me about a 52-page
Oh my!
Impressive.
chronology.
Oh no!
That's a summer novel.
A family history.
Wow.
So-
It was way more information than I needed.
But still, it is helpful for both of you.
Sure.
Yeah.
When a person sits down with that, and then there's a lot of emotional trauma going on
Yes.
here. It's tough to get organized, but it's
Yeah.
really helpful when you and maybe even get you focused a little bit to organize yourself and get down and chat with a lawyer and find out where you stand. That's the important thing. Information is powerful. At least then you're not out there going, now what?
Right. I find that 1 hour consultation with people usually reduces their anxiety
Definitely.
hugely. It's like you say, giving them information, perhaps exploding some of the myths that we talked about in terms of spousal support or child support or division of property, and at least they know what the way the world's going to unfold.
Now, if it's someone from Westside Family Law, whether it's Mark Perry or Jill Chapin or one of their colleagues that you would like to speak to, just go to the website, westsidefamilylaw.ca. All the contact points. There's even a map, for crying out loud, and all the email addresses, the phone numbers, all the rest of it, and that will at least get you started. Mark, nice to see you again.
Nice to
Jill,
see you
thanks
too.
for coming out. It's wonderful to meet you. Please come back.
Yes, lovely to meet you.
All right. This is The Law Show, and Red Robinson and the Diner are next on CIL 650.